So today, if I can get this thing to advance, I'm going to talk about my adventures as a spiritual care advisor for the Red Cross.
Ooh.
And I don't say that yet because it's been pretty limited so far. And I wrote this, oh gosh, I think 3 weeks ago now. We kept getting put off by my absence and a couple other things. So if these seem a little dated, it's because they are. This was right after the mountain fire down in Camarillo, Ventura County. And I wrote, I may or may not have a local opportunity to deploy with the Red Cross in my capacity as a Red Cross disaster spiritual care volunteer. Boy, that's a long title. I say fairly local because it was somewhere in Camarillo. It was a result of the mountain fire, and I may or may not be deployed because I don't have the actual assignment yet. I will clue you into the fact that I was never deployed. I was ended up not asking me to come. I guess they were covered. Anyway, I obtained this designation years ago. Miriam will remember because she helped me get it by writing some nice things that I needed in order to interview for it. And I obtained the designation years ago, but have only been on deployment in general support capacities. I'll explain what that means in a minute. I started as a general volunteer at the Red Cross during the Thomas Fire in Santa Barbara in 2017 and the Montecito mudslides in 2018. Oh boy, as a result of that general volunteering, I must have cleaned about 500 cots with this horrible disinfectant spray with a mask on, of course, but boy, that was nasty work. Telling you. Anyway, after cleaning and disinfecting hundreds of sleeping cots and pushing supplies around on a pallet jack that I had never used before, learned to operate pretty well. It's got to be a good background for working at Costco, I'm thinking. I thought to myself, I might be a better fit for the Red Cross as a spiritual care volunteer. So I went through the application, as I mentioned, Reverend Miriam helped me out with that, and the process with Reverend Mort Ward, who was the chaplain in charge of this department locally in Santa Barbara, but it's a regional chapter in the Central Coast. And I completed all my assignments, became a Red Cross disaster spiritual care volunteer. So what did I do? I waited for my assignments. Taking classes and being part of a recovery team aren't the same. I asked Reverend Ward if I would have lots of local opportunities to serve in this capacity, and he said he thought so. And I wanted to get my feet wet locally before I was deployed in some of the disasters we've had on the East Coast and Louisiana. I just wanted to test it out. But guess what? It didn't happen. The only requests I received were for those 14-day deployments thousands of miles away. Well, so what happened? One thing that happened was my liaison to the program passed away. Oh boy, 2018, Reverend Mort Ward passed away. He was a kind, hardworking person, and I miss him. He was very supportive of me. I always enjoyed talking to him, but he eventually admitted that the Central California Spiritual Care segment was disorganized and not well supported. I also came to understand that there were other support segments of the Red Cross and upper echelons of the Red Cross that did not understand or appreciate the nature of and need for spiritual care. That was disappointing. Oh, I think I got a couple slides reversed. Let me, well, and speaking of, and I can't backtrack because if I click it, it will only go forward. So let me just mention this with reference to the prior slide. And I saw this lack of support for the spiritual care segment of the Red Cross up close and personal in a class I took with some mental health professionals in attendance. There was some overlap in mental health. There is some overlap in mental health and spiritual care. But several of the mental health volunteers in the class admitted to some resentment as to why spiritual care volunteers were intruding on portions of things that they felt as licensed professionals they were more qualified to manage. They didn't understand why spiritual care was even part of a disaster recovery team. They didn't understand why it was a legitimate thing and a necessary component of disaster recovery. And frankly, I found that shocking. It was an internecine turf strife, and it was unseemly. I know that at some point in their lives, these folks will understand the difference and need for spiritual care in a very personal way. We've talked about Reverend Mort Ward passing, very nice man, very helpful to me. Okay, disaster action team, first responders. I did consult eventually with a regional advisor on how to proceed because I was kind of stuck. I didn't know what to do. I was not getting any deployments except ones that are, want to go to Bangladesh or whatever. And she gave me some additional classes that I am still working on to qualify to deploy with the Disaster Action Team, DAT. First responders as a disaster spiritual care volunteer and the future. I am slowly working my way through these additional classes, and we'll see how it goes. If it's not readily apparent, I'm disappointed at how it worked out to date, but we'll see how it works out in the future. So, what exactly is a spiritual care advisor with reference to the Red Cross? What do they do? And from their textbook, the Red Cross, they say, the unique role of the Red Cross disaster spiritual care provider is to assist people in drawing upon their own spiritual resources, values, and faith in the midst of their pain, regardless of their faith or belief tradition. I like that. It is how I've normally interacted with others when I have been asked about spiritual matters and assistance. I also like how the Red Cross is assiduously neutral in such advice. Volunteers may not promote any specific and particular belief system. They're just there to help wherever people are. And I do love that. Oh, so where am I? Where are we? I enjoy contemplating spiritual matters and talking with people who ask for my assistance. Wherever this leads, I like the journey.